Assalamu alaikum badimolu ngalbe welcome kota ka Active TV nyimbekal video tariara ngolte pour ka update di sampo wala ko la sampo mi yalon ko ngankun ku wala nkalbe nyaayon kungu jele bri ngankun ku wala nim bitema bilom tilsay njamade hansaing abe finding hansaing continue be finding so model yang kolle ka itandi nako ndel laftala la hansaing ning adresse mol mako no ato because ndakka fo mole la ko ali badu ngajube abe tilijon le kala faka bola famu kabo so hansaing ndakum be finding nan kali aja so mo jamale mum fanya wala mnyindi ko betel bella filala han atra ba ko ndala ko tege ya ma ko tege a findi ko tege betel bella filala so but ni na side sol jube the hairline han sa na le jube on continue nyin kono dol demanding so kay man changes jeje ba continue be findi ne han sa amang ko tege bilom til side so ni momandi laftala tenne imari sankol mba fole ba sot no nyame ala baraka. Today, Monday, on the 18th of November 2024, the Gambia national team, the Scorpions, will be playing against Tunisia. The Gambia national team head coach, Jonathan McKinstry, talks to the team media to preview today's match versus Tunisia. According to the coach, we are not just going to play, but we are going to play to have a 3 point, even though the point will not be important because the dream to play the Africa Cup Nation 2025 in Morocco has been ended. There is no chance for the Gambia. Be it alone, miyalonko walam November karo atiltan inside Gambia banko beplela ning Tunisia beplela Morocco banko kang coach Jonathan McKinstry Gambia national team la coach kutu aketa moti miyalonko diamuta media ka itandi la ko Gambia manda takan ka play doron bari mbita kan ka play ka point sabo soto han atar point oning ate kumala hanina ta qualification en juve kata Africa Cup Nation ka don sibo mi yalon ko ngol soto pour kata Africa Cup Nation o play 2025 mi yalon ka play Morocco sibo nying ate keno la tonya ate ka don Gambia dabota qualification oning konale mba coach la diamo play la diamo mi yalon ko awole ke kala football la alta ke motivate anim fanan ka banko fanan be motivate soccer football lovers mo diamo play la jane pro albea lamay janimbe o diamo play la mbafla albe ko business o mi yalon ko katwala ko fola wato wati business o la mi yalon ko mo jamal la dun kanje sang mo man di yalon ko lafta ka dunje ni mari yang commande doron mba explain ne be dunna je nyameng ika 124 euro banko dolga 120 euro ikolo jo yedunje kela bitiko soto online bitiko mi yalonko iba access lela mobile la bitiko mi yalonko iba access lela computer kono eka fen order je mi yalonko boko karbanjiol designer karbanjiol mi yalonko idal kolata baytal bitiko kono dadi ma eka karbanjiol je 100 ml isa sotno 15 euro isa sotno 30 euro, it depends. Karbanjiol dambantije nga sample final sotor mi yalon koy boko balakuran sample kuntinya sample tulol bijele nyada tulol bulu tulol sin tulol soko suma kono tulol mi yalon ko mol ka sule la puri balol kana fara sansam baram borol bijele pimple borol bijele proteinol bijele anim fana han futu wala karola kewol ni musol ka energy dila wol be bije fen jama le bije mol ka dung jele pour ka business okay because wotumo nyimu munti doro wala mol sandro kije barsa ye mum fanan dundi je wala ise sandro ke no jele isa sa inka wafi fana yala profito so andu ka sandro ka nyame e ka pointo fanan so wala nyama pointo e ka ke kodoti nin karo fada so kumandi anyindi momandi lafta ka dunje ye luxury caravanjo final so dale mi yalon ko wall is like event karbanjiol am nyende mi yalon ko ni programme soto lay kanyima manka luwolu maroti badel wedding sako mol mi yalon ko be manyo nyinen ko woldo nyimol leti so momandi yalon ko la faka dunje o hana tare ma lafka dunka business o ka bay la faka karbanji dima soto la faka tulo soto mi yalon ko mosul penolam ni la ibalo kono be di min kay la chokol be di min kan tulo mi yalon ko niyama ka bele bondi kul fetam borol fen jama le bije na len contact mbafla la be account o yella nyameng pour aller say business o keno nyameng sang alinga coach la diamo la may Jonathan McKinstry diamo mi yalon ko awle ke pour ka diamo majo la mi yalon ko be play la Gambia in Tunisia B.
In terms of the qualification, it might be a dead rubber, but still very important in it.
Yes, absolutely. Obviously, big disappointment a couple of days ago. Wasn't what anybody wanted. Not necessarily also, I think, maybe what we deserved over the course of the campaign. But, you know, in football, when you're in this game long enough, you find out that you very rarely get what you deserve. Football is one of those funny games that I've said before, you maybe play really well and don't get the points, or you play poorly or an average game and you get the points. So we came away from the Comoros game very disappointed, but we have another game to play, and it's a big game. You know, we're coming here to play Tunisia, who are historically, we know, at every African Cup of Nations going back decades, in their home ground. They're going to want to finish strong to win the group. And we've got to go out and try and stop them from doing that. We want to finish strong as well. You know, after the game against Comoros, in our sort of review of the game and the qualifying campaign as a whole, you know, we look at so many of the metrics that we measure in terms of chances created, in terms of ball possession, in terms of the areas on the pitch that we're occupying. And so much of it is moving in the right direction. It's where we want to go. And so this game against Tunisia is about taking one more step along the way and trying to get a positive performance and a positive result. And I believe we can do that. I believe we can go out, and if we play to our best level, we'll not be far away from not just picking up 1 point, but I think picking up all three is not beyond us. And look, in terms of the world ranking points, in terms of future, you know, seeding in qualification draws, all of this is very important. So it's an important game to bounce back from a disappointment. It's an important game to hopefully add some points to our rankings total. And it's an important game to just finish the qualifying on a higher note than we are at the moment.
Now, as a coach, is it difficult for you to motivate these players to lift themselves up and put up a respectable performance tomorrow?
I don't think we have anything to worry about putting up a respectable performance. I think I've mentioned before the mindset of the guys. It's a professional group of players. You know, these are not amateurs. They're not part-timers. This is a group of men who this is their profession. This is their full-time job. And so regardless of how they're feeling, whether they're on a high or a low, they know how to go out and put on a professional performance. And look, we'll also give them the chance tomorrow, look at one or two players who maybe, you know, some of the younger guys as well, who want to go out and prove that they deserve a regular starting place in the team. So that's the thing with international football. It doesn't matter whether it's an important qualification game, whether it's a friendly, whether it's a game like this where qualification is already beyond reach. Every player has something to prove because they want to be in the next squad. They want to be in the next starting lineup. And so, yeah, I expect tomorrow everyone who steps on the field and pulls on that Gambia shirt is going to be working their heart out to make sure they have a good performance, and by extension of that, the team have a good performance.
Are we expected to see some changes in your starting 11?
We're going to make a few, but that's more to do with what we think is appropriate for the game. As I said, you know, this isn't... I've always said the national team, you've got to earn your place in the national team. No national team of mine have we ever given out appearances for free. You know, they have to be earned through that work ethic, through that sweat, through that endeavor, through your performances at your club, and then your performances here with the national team when you get into camp. So the players tomorrow will deserve their place in the team, and it'll be the team that we think can go out and get a winning result against Tunisia.
I mean, the AFCON qualifiers came thick and fast. Within 2 months, 6 matches. But then from now, there is no game scheduled until March when the World Cup resumes. Does this give you and your technical staff a time to go and reflect and see where you need adjustment in some of the departments ahead of the World Cup resumption?
Yeah, well, look, naturally, the September through to November period is always the busiest with all national teams because, you know, people might not believe this, but you're only 1 week finished a national team camp, and you've got to be sending out the invitations for the next national team camp because of the deadlines with FIFA. So often we've only returned back from a game and 8-9 days later, we've got to be sending invitations out again. So you don't get a lot of time to watch the players who are on the fringes necessarily. So the bigger gap allows us to get out and do that a little bit more and sort of really evaluate, what additional depth we can add to the squad. And look, we're constantly evaluating, even immediately after the game the other night, in addition to preparing for this game against Tunisia, we were already starting to reflect and sort of compare our performance in the most recent game with the performances in previous games. And look, it's very obvious to us that there's, I would say since I've arrived with the team, there's probably been 5 or 6 areas of real quality development in what we're doing. There's a couple of areas very clearly that we still need to improve on. And that's the job. That's the job of me, the staff, the players, to make sure we work hard to get those final areas and we finish that jigsaw puzzle and start turning what have been some very promising performances into winning results.
Coach, this is a process. I mean, like you said, there has been a tremendous improvement in terms of many areas in our game. But then transitions are never easy. It's a continuous process. I mean, what would this AFCON qualifiers teaches us going into the World Cup qualifiers in March?
Well, I think it teaches us just when you're trying to put a national team together, it's like, I've mentioned this before, it's like putting a jigsaw puzzle together, and you really don't necessarily know the shape of that jigsaw piece that is the player until you've got them here in camp. You can do a lot of scouting, a lot of assessment of what they're doing for their clubs, but until you have them in the building and really understand their character and the little sort of details of their sporting talent, do you really understand how they fit exactly into what you're trying to create? And so, look, these games, it's been a hectic schedule. We've had no opportunity to have, like non-competitive games, non-competitive training camps. We're going to get that as we move into 2025. There's a bit of space in the calendar for us to do training camps, to do friendlies next year. And so, but look, I think we've learned a lot about, what certain players can do under pressure, what players can bring to the table in terms of when we really need that result and performance. And also, look, it's about the players gaining experience, because this is a younger team. There's been players who've been to the last 2 African Cups who are no longer playing for the Gambia because they've got a little bit older and they've maybe moved on. And so there's a lot of young guys in this squad who now have the experience of this qualifying campaign behind them. And I think that'll be of great benefit to them when we get back into the World Cup qualifiers.
And what you just said makes June very important, because in June, I mean, it's a non-competitive window, but then also it gives you an opportunity to spend more time with the players.
Yeah, I've been on record before of saying, yes, it's been, 6-7 months since we came together, but in real terms, we've only had 13 or 14 training sessions. So we've played 7 matches, and we've had probably 14 training sessions since we've come together. Just as the nature of the international calendar at the minute, the calendar's getting squeezed more and more. If you go back 3 or 4 years, it would be your first game of an international window would be on the Saturday. And normally that means you've got 5 days training, and then you've got another 1 or 2 days before you play again on the Tuesday. Whereas this window, we've seen games on the Wednesday, on the Thursday, on the Friday, and it's just meant that you haven't had that training time with the players. So yeah, both this game against Tunisia is a great opportunity for us to take another step forward, but definitely when we come back in the new year, those training camps, the World Cup qualifiers, the friendly camps are going to really just allow us to, again, just really dig into what we're trying to do with our playing style and our playing model, and just, it's about polishing up that sort of rough diamond and making sure it sparkles as we move forward.
Coach, thank you once again, and good luck tomorrow. No. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much.